Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are. I hope I'm clear. The Secretary General of the ATU, our dear partners, ITU, Huawei, Intel, GSMA. I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to this brief session this afternoon on question and answer session for the ATU 2021 Africa Innovation Challenge. The purpose of this challenge after the question and answer session this afternoon is to really provide the applicants or the participants with the knowledge that they need and what they need on the innovation challenge, the benefits of this challenge, as well as the background information that will enable them to apply as participants. My name is Alice Koech from the African Telecommunications Union. And before I invite the speakers, I would like to take this opportunity to inform you that we shall be having interpretation services. And I want to ask you to click the button below your screen, written interpretation, and select the preferred language that you'd be able to listen in or to intervene on. I would also like to request you that if you have any question, kindly use the platform provided for the chat so that you can give us your questions. Or if you're seeking for the floor, kindly raise your hand so that you can be given the opportunity to speak. Otherwise, our sincere apologies for starting about 5 or 10 minutes late. This was quite we quite sincerely apologize for this. And without much ado, please allow me to invite our Secretary General just to give us some welcome remarks. SG, you have the floor. Sorry for that. The Secretary General is just joined us. We apologize for that slight break. May I now take the floor to invite the Secretary General to give us his welcome remarks. Thank you. SG. SG, you have the floor.
Sorry, Alice and participants. I have a bit of a problem with my gadget, so I really must nurse it for it to come along. I'm very sorry that I'm late for this meeting. Let me start by recognizing the partners with whom we are working on this particular exercise, that is Intel, ITU, and Huawei, and indeed those countries that have come to support us. I see Dr. Soglo is in the meeting. I don't know whether Adam is in, but I'm sure at some point he will join us if he's not yet in. I see Mohammed is in, so let me recognize the two gentlemen who are already here, and at some point I hope Adam will join us. Let me also recognize our consultants who are helping us through the process. Impact Africa, and I see Winnie is already in. Without much ado, really, mine is to just thank you for favoring us with your time again, and to say that this challenge is so important to us as a union that we have determined that we must get it right. And so we did determine that, and from some of the presentations that we received, that there was need to perhaps stretch the time a little bit in order to allow for the participants to have more time to package their bids and even open up to those that had submitted if they wanted to reconsider, to also extend time for them so that we get it right. So that is the rationale behind this meeting and the extension that all of you did see that we announced a couple of days ago, I think 2 or so days ago. And you know, innovation ecosystem is really what makes innovation work. If there is no efficient, you know, good ecosystem that supports innovation, especially those that are from the youth, either through, you know, our tertiary institutions, our educational system, our universities, the sort of hubs or innovation, you know, platforms that we have in our, you know, organizations, then there cannot be innovation. And so we did think that it was important to talk about the ecosystem which enables which enables innovation. And so mine is again to welcome you to this meeting and to thank you again for the favor of your time. We will, you know, make a brief presentation. I think the consultants will do that, and then open this to question and answer session. And I think this is where the participants need to feel free to ask the sort of questions that they think would enable them to make a good bid, a successful bid. And so we are open, we welcome your participation, we welcome your questions, and we'll be here to respond to them accordingly. So with those remarks, I want to thank you once again for joining us, and to wish each and every participant here a very good afternoon and meeting. Over to you, Alice.
Thank you very much, Steve, for those welcoming remarks. Allow me now to call upon one of our partners, Intel, to share with us a few words. Dr. Soglo.
Yes, hello, Alice. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Alice. ATU Secretary General, distinguished participants, and other partners supporting this event. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I would like to just give a brief overview of Intel and talk about some of the programs that we have, so that, you know, once you have the opportunity, you can go to our website to get a little bit more information about that. Before going to the programs, first, as you know, Intel Corporation, we design and manufacture advanced integrated digital technology platforms that power an increasingly connected world. And when you talk about a platform, it consists of microprocessors and chipset, and those may be enhanced by additional hardware, software, and services. And those platforms are actually used in a wide range of applications such as PCs, laptops, servers, tablets, smartphones, automobiles, in factories, but also in medical devices. And as you may have heard, at Intel, our purpose is to create world-changing technology that enriches the lives of every person on Earth. Well, today we are in the area where, you know, the data that are generated by myself, yourselves, by the retail stores, by hospitals, manufacturing plants, cars, and so on, they need to be moved, stored, and processed faster and more securely. And that's why, you know, Intel is investing in what our CEO, Pat Gelsinger, called the four superpowers, right? The cloud, 5G and broadband connectivity, AI, and the intelligent and autonomous edge. In addition to that, our CEO also stated that technology will play a critical role in building a digital future that is equitable, accessible, and inclusive for all. And that is why Intel actually launched our new RISE strategy 2030 goals. And through this strategy, Intel strives to create a more responsible, inclusive, and sustainable future that's enabled through its technology and the expertise and passion of its employees. And through this strategy, Intel is committed to making technology fully inclusive and expand digital readiness. And in fact, when we talk about digital readiness, Intel has rolled out what we call the Intel Digital Readiness Program. And for that program, we aim to empower the wider non-techie audiences with the appropriate digital skill sets, mindset, tool set, and opportunity to use technology responsibly in the AI-forward world. So we are committed, to taking this program to 30 countries, enabling access to 30,000 institutions and partners, and training 30 million people for current and future jobs by 2030. And this, of course, with the support of government and academia. So far, Intel has already trained more than 150,000 people across 8,000 institutions in 15 countries. Now, under the Intel Digital Readiness Program, we have some different type of programs with different targets. First, we have the Digital Readiness for Leaders. So here we look to empower government leaders on emerging technologies such as AI, cloud, 5G connectivity, and intelligent edge. And that also includes IoT and cybersecurity to drive informed policymaking. And this program aims to demystify and democratize these technologies through immersive, customized workshops that are led by Intel technology and business experts. We have what we call the AI for Citizens. And here we look to develop awareness and understanding of AI among the public. We have our Intel AI for Youth program, where we're looking at empowering school students to learn and apply AI tech and social skills for real-world problem solving. We also have the AI for Future Workforce, and there we're looking at empowering future workforce from technical and vocational schools with necessary AI skills for employability in the digital economy. And within the set of programs under the Intel Digital Readiness Program, we also have AI for current workforce. And here we look to upskill and reskill members of the current workforce, such as that of SMEs for immediate work impact. Apart from those programs, Intel has developed several other programs and initiatives to accelerate digitalization globally. For example, we have our Intel Skills for Innovation program that looks to support educators in leading the transformation of education and preparing students for the fourth industrial revolution. We also have our Intel Partner Alliance program that offers exclusive resources for AI, for cloud, for high performance computing, and other solutions areas to help plan, build, and deliver more customer value. And finally, we also have our Intel Developer Zone that provides the official source for developing on Intel hardware and software, where you will be able to explore our most popular development areas and resources. And you can access all of those information on our website. Furthermore, in order to unleash the potential of research and innovation, Intel is looking forward to engaging with universities, research institutions, NGOs in Africa to identify
Yeah. Apparently, it looks like we have lost the speaker. Can we just give him 2 minutes to see whether he can come back? If that is going to take long, maybe you could allow us to proceed so that we don't we catch up on time.
If more of ITU can say something.
Yes. Yeah.
Mohammed, I'm sure you will be able to speak later on, but if you can say something as we try to wait for Doc to come back.
Absolutely. Good morning, good afternoon, and everybody, and super happy to be here. And I couldn't have said it better than the Secretary General in terms of the need for thinking about that innovation ecosystem, which is really the underpinning of everything. And we're very proud that at ITU, this is one of the areas we like to focus on, and because we really believe this is one of the root causes of what we call the digital divide, is really the lack of this innovation capacity. And I think Dr. Bienvenu mentioned a bit all of the things Intel is doing. Well, I happen to have worked for Intel for 12 years before, so I know a lot about Intel and about how a company like Intel really built this ecosystem, and they are in a great ecosystem in Silicon Valley, but they also build an ecosystem around their platform, their solutions, and they also deliver a lot of program and services. Now, why do I say all this? I think when you are in an ecosystem, there is a lot of collaboration with the big companies, with the small companies, and this challenge is really different. That it's not just a challenge for innovators, because the innovators themselves cannot survive without the bigger companies, without the collaboration. So what we're really aiming to do here is to find a sweet spot and to find the stories and the narratives and the practices that can really be shared and replicated across the continent. So, you know, having an innovation ecosystem is really, really important. And I think you know, this challenge is really different in that way. I don't know if I am running over my time, but maybe I'll stop here if somebody else would like to take a floor.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ba, for those for the few words. Apparently, I've not seen Mr. Dr. Soklo coming back. And with that, please allow us to continue the program. And I would like to call upon our communications experts just to take the participants through the process of applications, the benefits and the objectives of this innovation challenge. And I wish to call upon Winnie to take the floor. Winnie, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Alice, and welcome to this Q&A session. I'll be very brief to give room to my colleague who will go further ahead and now take you deeper into how to apply and the eligibility and the evaluation criteria. Alice, can I share my screen?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so the background, the theme for this year's challenge is best ecosystem practices in Africa, enabling youth ICT innovation. And it was born out of like Mr. Ba has said, we recognized the need. ATU and ITU came together and decided that they want to do more than just recognize young African innovators in Africa who are developing exemplary ICT innovations, because most of the time they face challenges either related to resources or capacity, and sometimes get stuck in between and fail to reach their full potential or scale up their innovation as a result of those challenges. And yet we have ecosystem stakeholders who in one way or another are enabling young ICT innovators in Africa to thrive. Therefore, this year's challenge, the main aim is, one, we want to identify ecosystem stakeholders who have developed and implemented practices that are creating that enabling environment for youth ICT innovation to thrive. And why do we want to do that? Is so that these good practices can come out and they can be publicized and they can be amplified and replicated across the region, so that even other ecosystem stakeholders that are working with young ICT innovators can be able to pick up these practices and implement, and in the long run, benefit the young African ICT innovators. So that is the main idea behind this year's innovation and the theme for this year's challenge. Like the Secretary General mentioned, we are partnering with ITU for this, and Huawei is our title sponsor, and we also have Intel Corporation and GSMA as sponsors for the challenge. So our objectives for this year's challenge, what we want to achieve is, first of all, we want to build a network of champions to develop a youth resilient ecosystem in Africa by sharing their best practices. And then we also want to recognize the impact of partnerships between young innovators and ecosystem stakeholders. This now brings in the second bit of this year's challenge, because we are not only looking at the practice. Once the participants, they will be required to submit a practice and also information about beneficiaries of that practice. So that one will be, in that sense, they'll be responding to this objective, because if at all they have implemented a practice that has borne fruits and has been successful, then we would like to know about the innovators who are actually beneficiaries of the practice and that the impact of such a partnership. We also want to provide information on access to resources from expert communities and build entrepreneurship capability for young innovators. And like I mentioned earlier, we want to amplify and replicate best practices that support youth resilience and create an enabling environment that will promote inclusivity in the information society to leverage the current innovation impetus and bring innovative digital solutions to community development. And all this in the long run will enable the acceleration of the development of ICTs in Africa to enable digital economies. Like I mentioned, my colleague Jessie will now take you through the eligibility and the evaluation and selection and pre-selection criteria. But at the end of it all, what the benefits for the participants of the challenge, first of all, and I think which is the most important and is pegged around the theme of the challenge, is the title. So the winner will be the practice that will emerge as the winning practice, will be recognized as the 2021 ATU Best Ecosystem Practice in Africa, enabling youth ICT innovation. So that one, it will be that one will be the recognition that they will get. And apart from that, the winning ecosystem stakeholder will also be awarded with $10,000, which 5,000 will be shared equally with the two beneficiaries of the practice, and the rest will be put into promoting the practice, because based on the theme, we want this practice to be known across Africa so that it can be replicated with other ecosystem stakeholders. The second position, the winning practice for the second position will be recognized as the first runners-up and will receive the title of the first runners-up 2021 ATU Best Ecosystem Practice in Africa, enabling youth ICT innovation, and they will get a sum of $5,000, 2,500 shared given directly to the beneficiaries of the practice, and 2,500 in put into promoting the practice. The same will go to now the third one will receive the title of second runners-up 2021 ATU Best Ecosystem Practice in Africa, enabling youth ICT innovation, and will receive a sum of $2,500, out of which 1,250 will be given to the beneficiaries of the practice, and $1,250 will be put into promoting the best practice. Apart from that, we also have a couple of benefits. So the winning stakeholders, that is the top 10, they will get to attend a bootcamp organized by ITU to scale up and amplify their best practices. And then they will have their practices recognized by ITU and ATU as an ecosystem stakeholder best practice that can be scaled up and amplified across Africa to foster youth resilience. This is also based on the theme. Then they'll also get, the top 3 will get a chance to showcase their best practices in a personalized virtual booth at the Global Innovation Forum and connect with a community of like-minded stakeholders. And also they will get to contribute to ITU's regional good practice report and benefit from other types of support that are coming in, because we are still, various organizations are still coming up and expressing their interest in joining the challenge. So this is not all, we might have other benefits for the winners. Therefore, we highly encourage you to participate. I will now invite my colleague Jessie, who will now go deeper into the eligibility, the evaluation criteria to be able to provide the needed information so that you can be able to effectively participate. Thank you. Jessie, you may take over.
Okay. I hope we are all fine. I do understand that some of you are joining us for a second time following the first Q&A session that we had later last month. And I think the best beginning point, as we really look forward to the fullness of this presentation, is one to perhaps even as I begin to talk, I think I can request to share the screen so that Alice, may I share the screen? Okay.
Jessie, I think you should be able to share now.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I know that some of you are joining us for a second time, and why I'm mentioning that is you are probably wondering what happens if you, for instance, had already made an application, and out of this Q&A session, either this or the other one, you feel as though there's something you didn't do right in your application and you would like to make right. We really must make the statement and say that it's okay. There will be a pre-evaluation phase where if you had already made the application and you think it's not correctly placed the way you would want it, then we can make this. You can make a second application, but we will disregard the first application based on the date of the date you made the application. So that's really important, so that either way you remain attentive and the sessions remain useful as we go forward. Perhaps why I've shared this this part of the screen is that I'm very sure when you go to the ATU website and there is the tab of the Innovation Challenge 2021. One of this is the beginning point of your application. This page is the beginning point of your application process, and of course we do encourage you to first of all go through it in entirety, read through the questions so that you really have the entire gist of the concept of the competition of the challenge before you make your entry. And this bit, I think if you see on the website here, there are these bits that are movable. I really would like to remind us that all these are documents in 2 different languages, French and English, the same document translated. You can download all of these documents so that, for instance, if you look at this background, it gives you the entire background of the challenge, what needs to be done. and the entire outlook, so that you're able to be in full picture. So if you just go and click on read more, I'm sure you should be able to download it. That is one that is really important that I share with you, so that we are in picture. Perhaps now I can go to the main document, which is one of the downloadable documents on the website. This is the pre-selection and the selection criteria, and it may sound as a repetition for those who are joining us a second time, but it's really important, especially if you missed something, or you have a concern, or you have a question, which also is perhaps a good point to begin, is through a question that one of you has shared in the chat, and I think I can pick that up, so that because it forms really the basis of the entire presentation on the pre-selection and the selection criteria. And somebody has asked if a private company can apply, a private company or individual. So I'm going to respond first on the bit of private company and say yes. I think with the bit of the question that tackles the individual, I'll get to it at a later point. And then I also want to emphasize that this year's competition is a marathon. You really have to complete the race for you to win the race. And it's really quite a long race, if you ask me, because there's a lot of evidence that we really need from you, and that begins from the paperwork that you have to fill. It is bulky. We accept it's bulky, but at the same time, we know that it's every detail that we ask of you is very, very important. And that's why, again, I refrain that you have to look at the document in entirety for you to get the entire picture and to be able to know how to move forward with your application. Perhaps you can also try and fill something offline before you load your application, your entry online. That should help you to put your thoughts in a way that is progressive, in a way that will help you to be confident in what you apply. And I think one good thing, if you look at the website where I started from, there's it's as though you're filling different pages. So my view is that before you press that button next, before you go to the next bit of your application, you are completely sure that what you have done is correct. Now, I think in my presentation will also be quite brief. I'll tackle the pre-selection and the selection criteria. And the first bit that I would want to begin by saying is that the thought process around this year's competition is the thought process around this competition this year is partnership. I think partnership is the best way to describe it. If you look at this page, you can see partnership from the beginning. You can see we have the ATU, we have ITU, we have Huawei, we have Intel, and GSMA has also joined us for the competition. They were our partners last year, and we are happy to have them on board this year again. So even when you move out of now the people that are bringing the competition to you, the challenge to you, and now we get back to the point of where we are receiving the entries from you. The entries in themselves they are built around partnership, and the idea is simple. The idea is that it has to be a partnership between an institution and individuals, a partnership that can be referred back to as strategic, and that can be referred back to as one that can promote sustainability. And of course, one of the two values that this competition is emphatic on is originality and sustainability. That is why, for instance, we are talking about the challenge having been for you to make an entry. For instance, the institution has to have had that practice that promotes ICT innovation for at least 1 year. So our thinking is, if you are able to sustain it for 1 year, then it's possible that you can sustain it beyond the second, the third, and the fifth year. So therefore, of course, I will also touch on the eligibility, and I think that is one of the that's the first part that I'm going to get into. This document, again, it's available on the website. I'm just going to emphasize on it, but when you go to the website, you will interact with it. I'm going to go through it in an overview way, but I want to assure you that if you read through it word for word, you'll be able to get through it. It's been built in a simple way that you may not require to you may not need to ask anything. You may not need additional information, but should you need additional information, I think there's an email attached on the website where you can send in your question and we'll be able to reply, as well as our social media handles, the ATU social media handles. We are also able to reply to respond to you in real time. Now, in the question of who can apply for this challenge, the challenge is open. It's open to, first of all, we are using the word, you'll meet the term ecosystem stakeholders in a lot of places, in a lot of documents. But to just break it down, we are talking about if you are a regulatory authority or an institution that supports entrepreneurs, and if you are an incubator, if you are an accelerator, if you are any institution, schools, if you are a college, if you are a university from Africa, and you within that institution, within your institution, which is now the question that was asked in the chat, if a private company can apply. Yes, we regard you as an institution, and of course, if you look at some of the qualifications, we require that you must be a registered institution within your country and within the legal structures of your country. So if you meet those qualifications, which we'll go back to in the terms, we'll get there with the terms and conditions, then you can apply. But of course, you must be from Africa. And then, of course, the rider is, yes, you are an institution. Yes, you are from Africa, but you must be promoting a program or policies that focus on creating an enabling environment for youth ICT innovations. That's a very key part of this application, because it doesn't matter that you are an incubator or a school or any institution or an accelerator. It doesn't matter that you are from Africa, as much as it matters that what you are promoting, the program that you have, the program that you're entering into this competition is relevant to ICT and is relevant to youth ICT innovations. So that's a very, very key bottom line that we'll be looking at the evaluation stages, so that we are not receiving an application that is not related to ICT and is not related to youth ICT innovations. And if you're not an institution, if you're not from Africa. Now, the next point I want to make will answer the question in full that I was asked in the chat, and I think that really is everything when it comes to who can apply. An individual cannot apply in this competition. In fact, if you go through the registration, the application form, you may not even go beyond the first page as an individual, because the details that we require, you may not fill in those details. Individual cannot apply for this competition. This challenge is open to institutions. We want institutions to apply. Now, these institutions, for instance, I want to be specific, and I think probably what may apply to many of us, to just by assumption, is a school. For instance, a school. If we have a school and this school makes an application, one of the most immediate things that we are going to focus on after receiving that application is whether in the first place they are an institution. And yes, they are an institution because they are a school. And that applies to everybody, either an accelerator, an organization that is supported, or a regulatory authority, or any of those category of institutions that we have listed. Now, yes, we have received your application as a school, but as a school, we are asking you simple questions. One, do you have a practice that is supporting youth ICT innovation, that is creating an enabling environment for youth ICT innovations to thrive? If you tick that box, then perhaps the next box that we will want you to tick is, do you have at least 2 innovators that have benefited from the enabling environment for youth ICT innovation that you have created? Now, once we have an answer to those questions and you've ticked those 2 boxes, then you can make your application. So in your application, you'll fill in details of your best practice that you're promoting. That is one. Of course, we look at every bit of, we will need an entire, description, some bit of evidence in terms of that best practice that you're promoting. But 2, we'll need a bit of evidence as well to two of the youth ICT innovators that have benefited from the practice that you have created. So once we have those 2, then you have a complete application. Now, I think I'll emphasize that much more as we go forward, but I'll just, the next bit of this presentation is also going to be part of that emphasis, but then you can ask any questions, I think, at the end of this presentation. And how do you apply? You have ticked all boxes. You meet the eligibility criteria, which I'll also touch on much later as well. And now you are at a point where you have to apply. So of course, the word unique here is very, very important, because now that speaks to the originality that we really want to get out of to get out of the entries that you presented for the challenge. Now, if you have a unique practice that creates an enabling environment for youth ICT innovation, then submit that practice. Of course, the submission process is available on the website, as I had shown you. On that innovation tab, you'll go in and you'll key in all the details that you must that are required of you. And of course, we have also emphasized that it must be an original idea, it must be an original concept, it must be something that is truly yours. Of course, that is again subjective to some degree, but there are criteria that we'll use to evaluate that. Now, we are also saying that it must have been in force for a minimum of 1 year. This unique practice that you're promoting must have been in force for a minimum of 1 year. And there's a small bit about this, which is really one of the things one of the areas that I think we can also put our focus on. I don't know if I think I'll use this page to define it. We are saying that the practice that you're promoting must be either in the form of policies and just a moment.
Jesse,
Yes.
are you able to share the screen of what you are presenting, because it appears you're still on the website page?
I'm still on the website. Okay. No problem. I think this should help. Sorry, I almost assumed this was the page that was on display, but just what I mentioned was that who can apply, how to apply, and I think this document I mentioned is available on the website. So let me just get to the top of this page. At the top of this page, we have the pre-selection and selection criteria. The document is available on the website. So apologies for that mishap. But then again, this is the page that I was on, and I mentioned that we are looking for a unique practice that creates an enabling environment for youth ICT innovations to thrive, and that's fine. And we are also emphasizing on originality of that practice, and we are saying that that practice must have been enforced for a minimum of 1 year. And this is the bit that I said I'll use this page to elevate it. And ideally, we are saying that this practice could be in the form, could be shaped around policies and regulations. That means it is in some way it is responding to or helping to progress areas of policies and regulations, or socioeconomic empowerment, or lifelong skills and readiness. It is not, again, I have to really emphasize and stress on it that these 3 areas, you must not really have a practice that meets all the 3 areas or satisfies the 3 areas. As long as it satisfies one of the areas, then you are good to go. Now, how can you apply? You go to the website. I think I'm happy that my screen was on the website for a while, so perhaps we have we can that's a bit that has sunk in for a minute. And ideally, you can apply. You just go to the website, and there are prompts for every movement. And at the same time, we are saying that the application is, one, you make an application that is twofold. The first fold of the application is that it is a unique practice. Now, the details for that is what you enter into the document, the first bit of the document that is provided. And then the second bit of that, the second bit of your application is information about 2 innovators who have benefited from the practice. So that answers the question on the chat. If can a private company apply? Yes, they can apply if they are registered in their country. And can an individual apply? No, an individual cannot apply. But an individual's the information about the individual's innovation is actually part of the application process. And if you are an individual, for instance, that you benefited from a best practice supported by your institution, by a particular institution, and you are aware of this challenge, but your institution is not aware of the challenge, then my advice is that you can collaborate. You can get back to the institution. It doesn't matter if you are currently there or you are an alumni of that institution. You can get back to them and discuss, a collaboration, and then make a joint entry. But the entry will not be submitted by you as an individual. It will be submitted by the institution. Now, there are terms and conditions for this challenge. I think you'll find them on the website on this particular document that is available. But there are some areas that we can touch on, and see, because they probably form good discussion areas. The first one, we are saying that the institution or organization that is making this entry, this application, must be from Africa. I think that's a critical part of the terms and conditions, because now if you do not meet that bit at the evaluation, at the first stage of evaluation, you are likely to be locked out of the challenge. And of course, we want the competition to be as fair as possible. And what we really think is important is, if you read, I think that was my opening statement, that you need to read the document in entirety, and that means that one of the areas that there's a lot of focus on is your response to the theme of the competition. Winnie touched on the theme of the competition, and here we are again. I'm also touching on the theme of the competition, because that's one of the things that the panel of judges will look at, and they will be interested in. If you are bringing something that on the table that is not in line with the theme, I think that will really lock you out of the assessment in its complete way, because you may have a very good idea, but if you do not incline it to the theme, then it will be a problem at the first stage of evaluation. Now, each candidate, again, I have to emphasize on this again and say that each candidate can only submit one practice for the challenge. As I said, the beginning is, if you feel as though you need to make another entry, we'll disregard the first entry that you have made. This is the reason for that, is that following this session, you may come to a different realization in terms of what the competition outlook is and what it demands from you. And we do not intend to give anybody undue advantage. Therefore, that means that if you feel you need to make another submission, we'll disregard the first submission that you've made, and therefore will only admit one entry, and you cannot make two, and one institution cannot make two different entries on different practices or on different subjects. Now, the success story, of course, the application form will, may not allow you to fill more than two. Will not allow you to fill more than two. The information about more than two innovators, but we encourage you to fill it in its complete form. Reason being, if you feel only one beneficiary of that practice, then you're putting yourself on the line. Should we get to a stage where it is very competitive, that becomes one of the automatic areas of disqualification, because we asked for two and you probably submit one. I know it's impossible to submit three, but I think that's 3 or more, but I think that's something that we need to really think around. And then it's important that whatever you're submitting is your own work as a participant. There are so many issues, especially related to copyright, that we do not want to get into or to be party to as we are running this challenge. So the uniqueness of your idea and the fact that it is your own original work really speaks to even the title of the challenge, which is innovation, which has a prime focus on innovation. So of course there are ways that we will sift through your applications and sift out those that we recognize are not your own work. But if your application is your own work, it's something that it's a concept that you have thought through at individual level, that is something that this competition really appreciates. I must mention that there is no fee to enter into the competition. This is important. If at all you meet any characters that may purport to request you for any financial requirement for you to enter the competition, just know that there is no fee at all that is required from you. Now, the participants, I think why this is really key is that of course we mentioned, and Winnie mentioned it in a much more elaborate way, that we want your practice to be able to be replicated across the continent. One of the assumptions we are getting into this competition with is that the practice that you have is tied to your institution. Of course, we really are keen on trying to see how can this practice cross over to the entire continent. But the delicate line that I want to refrain is that you are right. You retain the full rights of your entry. Once you've made your application and it's been evaluated, whether you win or you do not win, it does not matter. You retain the right of the full rights of your entries. Nobody is going to take away your right. Nobody is going to take away your work and own it in whatever way. You'll retain that full right. And then two is that of course the entire competition will just be elevating you to some level, will elevate you to the continental level should you win or should you emerge among the top people in the top, should your entry emerge among the top in the competition. But that alongside other terms and conditions, you'll find them on the website, and that is something that we'll be able to look at in depth. If you have any question, again, of course, I'm encouraging you to read through these terms and conditions independently, one by one, from the first one to the last one, and hopefully you'll be able to meet them. Now, the pre-selection has been moved, of course, to the last day of this month. The pre-selection has been moved to the last day of this month, and we'll take where we will now begin the pre-selection process. And one of the things that many of you have asked, especially on social media, is how you know you received your your application. I think once we have received all the applications, we'll send an email to each and every one of you to tell you that we have received your email, and if you are proceeding to the next phase, then you will be also informed via the email and or the contact details that you will provide, which includes as well your phone number, and any other way to contact you. Now, part of this application process, part of this application process will be a pitch. Immediately after you send in your application, and you move to the next stage, those that will have been, those that will emerge among the top, I think we'll arrive at a number, probably 10 or 15 of you will be invited to pitch to the panel of judges, and then we should be able to get the best now out of those that will have made the pitch. The pitch will be virtual, so we'll share a link to those that will be called upon, for that exercise. Now, finally, I think I'll just touch a little bit on the criteria for awarding the points, and there are 5 different areas that we look at. You look at the document on the website, and but ideally we want to see how relevant your entry is to the challenge. Does it meet all the needs of the challenge? How potent is it? Can it be scaled up? Is it sustainable? And does it have some economic and social promise? Of course, we'll also look at the solution. Does it really clearly mark out a problem and provide a solution? And the rest will just be a bit of the overall feel of your application in terms of its degree of excellence. And then finally the impact, and I think a large part of your application will be on the evidence that you provide, and that evidence is really what will contribute to the impact in a way that we will be able to assess, and hopefully some of you will be called upon as victors at the end of the challenge. So finally, I think I'm welcoming any questions. If you want to ask any question about any area, the document is available again on the website. Other dates still remain in terms of the final selection of the winners by 15th of September, and the award ceremony on 28th of September is still retained. So if you have any question, please ask. But again, the document is available on the website. Go through it, read every bit of it, and make your application. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Winnie and Jesse, for taking us through the process of application. I want to believe that each and every one of us is now conversant with with how to effectively submit your application for this competition. And the floor is now open for question and answer to clarify any issue that you may have regarding the presentations that have been made. And as we wait for the questions on the floor, we could look at some of the questions that have been asked on the chat. There was a concern. There was a concern by one of the participants about the applications being done, and when they submit, they are not able to go back and make any changes. So perhaps we could see how we could answer that one. There was also a concern from Mr. Alaya, who has actually left the meeting due to another engagement, and he was asking about the organization is backing up startup ecosystem, which includes ICT, but not exclusively. We encourage the development of all types of technology, agri-tech, fintech, health tech, energy, and not only ICT. Is it acceptable in the competition? I think that's one of the questions that he asked. I also see the question or the concern The other question is from, I'm just reading through the chat window. Sorry, I think some of the concerns I see here are more or less information or supporting the presentations that have been made, but it has been made clear for them to participate actively. So any questions? The floor is open for question and answer session. I see the question from Chavsia. Could we go into our application and have access to it in order to improve the contents? Another question is from, hello, I am Harore from Cameroon. My question is, the first part of the application is difficult to understand. Could we go through the application process? Chelsea, maybe you could answer those two questions, then we can see whether we can have other questions. I see we have 15 minutes with us remaining before we end our program.
Okay, I think to answer that question on the first part of the application, I really don't know, but it's possible that you try to fill it in as an individual. And I think most of those details are not individual details. I wish I knew exactly the problem that you're encountering, but perhaps one of the things that I can do is to just look at the question and what they require, and they're asking you questions, for instance, like what is the sorry. Or they're asking, I don't know, they're asking questions like provide a brief description of your institution. How did you get to know about the challenge? What inspired your organization or institution to apply? And I think those questions are really, the title of your practice. That is, for instance, how did you, what, just the name that you've given your practice, that it's not a conventional name, it's something that is independently yours. So most of those questions are really going to be answered by somebody who has knowledge at institutional level. And therefore, I don't know the exact challenge you faced, but if you tried to fill it in as an individual, then it's probably was going to pose a challenge. Also, I think I may just mention that if you have a specific challenge and in filling the application, and you have not you've not asked in this forum or in the other forum, and you still don't know how to go about it, there's 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 an email address that is on the website, which you can, I think somebody will just type it in on the chat so that you're able to send in your question at any point beyond this Q&A session. Somebody has asked that they would like to resubmit an application. It is possible. We are open to that, but just know that for as long as the contact details are the same, then and the information is the same, we'll disregard the first application that you made and take in the second or the third or the fourth application that you made.
If I can add on to
Okay, Winnie, please.
If I can add on to that. So if maybe you are resubmitting under the title of the practice, you can start with the word resubmitted, and then now you name the practice. So the question where it asks you title of the practice resubmitted in capital letters. And then now
Yeah, we also can't hear now, so you are not alone.
you name the practice so that we can know that this
Yeah. Hello, Winnie. I think we have lost you, Winnie.
is
Are you able to adjust your? Sorry, Winnie, can you hear us? Hello, Winnie. Okay, I think we have lost Winnie. Sorry for that. For the email, I have shared the email contacts on the chat, so you can be able to reach us. We shall also correct the information in the website. I realized that we still have the old email. Our apologies for that. I also noticed that there is a question that is talking about, can I enter the contest for an innovative home service application or an e-commerce site? I have translated this from the question from Manoto Bakoena.
I can respond to that and say that as an individual, you cannot enter your application, your innovation to the challenge as an individual. But if you are, whether it is a home service application, e-commerce site, of course I don't mean to assume the specifics of your application, but if it is ICT based and it was supported by an institution that promoted, whether it is your university, your college, your school, or you are within some setup of an incubator or accelerator or any of those listed organizations, then they can make an application, and as part of the application they can list your innovation, and both you and the institution will be awarded if you emerge at the top of the challenge. But as an individual, no, you cannot make that application. Then there's somebody who pointed out something that it was a bit bulky to make the application, that there was no alternative for saving, and therefore he asked if we can readjust the application to allow the system. That is not something that we can promise, because a lot is already ongoing, and therefore that is why I asked you at the beginning to, if you have a way of filling your application offline, and then just because all these documents, either you can download them, or the questions you can pull them out and fill them offline, and then when you get back to the system, you just fill in what you have already thought through, what you already filled through at offline level.
Hello.
Hello, yes, Winnie, you are back.
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to comment on the issue of resubmitting. If you missed what I said initially is, yes, you can resubmit as long as the question where you'll be asked title of the practice, just write the word resubmitted first in capital letters, and then you now put the title of the practice, so that we can be able to disregard the first one for the purposes of analysis and data. So just write resubmitted and then the title of the practice.
Thank you, Winnie and Jesse, for answering those questions. Any other question from the participants? I noticed a question from Mr. Manoto. Hi, my question was about the original idea. Jesse, I think maybe you could clear or bring an understanding to that issue of the original idea.
Okay, the idea for original idea is simple. You're not infringing on any copyright issues. Whether it's been applied of course, you really have to be conversant with the environment of copyright. So we really do not intend for you to bring in something and say that, like I think if I get your outlook, it's possible that you are looking at benchmark. Now I am quite uncertain, and then again, that is not my area. It will be at the judges level to make that decision. But the bottom line, and that this is something that all the judges, I'm very sure, will focus on, is on whether you are making an application that is infringing on copyright issues. So if at all you're bordering that line, then I want to assure you that your application may not really be admitted.
Good. I hope your question has been answered. And that, I think, if there's no any other question, we have 5 minutes to the end of our program. And if there is no any question coming from participants, may I call upon our participants? Sorry, before we do that, there's a question from Kariuki. The two innovators, must they be continuing students, or can we include alumni?
I can answer that as well. You don't have to be a continuing student, even an alumni, so long as you understand that you are not going to make that application. It is your institution that is listing you. So if your institution lists you as an alumni, as a beneficiary, no problem about it.
Hello, Jesse, you are done? Sorry for being off briefly.
It's okay. Yes, I'm done. I'm not sure you got me correctly.
Yeah? Sorry, I was off a little bit, but I want to believe that the concerned participant has been answered effectively.
It's okay.
Samuel Karaoke.
Sorry.
Yes, Samuel Kariuki, were you answered? If you're not able to speak,
okay.
you could write in the chat. Yes.
I can just go back on what I said. so that it's also very clear, is that yes, as an alumni, you're not locked out of the competition, but the idea is you cannot make the application as an individual. If your institution chooses to list you as one of the innovators that have benefited from your from their practice, and therefore they list you as one of the 2 innovators, then there is no problem at all.
Thank you, Chelsea, for that answer. I want to believe Kariuki has been answered. I see Dan Made has also asked the issue of how to access and improve the previous submitted application. I think Winnie answered this question when she said that you can resubmit. So when you are resubmitting, you can use the previous information that you used and improve it.
Yes, and also perhaps we can, just to mention, if you've already submitted your application and you clicked submit, it's already recorded from our end as a complete application. So there's no way for you to access it and re-edit it or something. If you want to make an improvement or to make a change based on this Q&A session or the first one, or any clarification that you received along the way, then you can only make a new application, but not improve on one that you have already submitted.
Thank you very much, Jesse. I see Dan has acknowledged that he has understood the issue, and that now brings us to the end of our session. It's our belief that we have all been able to learn something that will enable our participants submit their applications effectively. And should you have any query, please share it with us on the emails that we provided earlier on. And with that, please allow me to call upon I think we have Dr. Soklo. He came back. He wishes to say just one word before we close. Then we can ask the SG to bid us goodbye. Dr. Soklo.
Thank you very much, Alice. And apologies earlier, I dropped off. Hopefully, I was getting close to concluding. And what I want to say is that Intel looks forward to working with all ecosystem stakeholders to create an enabling environment for the youth to develop ICT innovations in Africa. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Soklo. Mr. Ba from the ITU, our other partner. Mr. Ba? I see Mr. Ba is on call, but it looks like he's not hearing us. And with that, please allow me to call upon the SG just to say goodbye to us as we conclude. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alice. Thank you very much, our title sponsors and partners. I must confess that with the level of questions and interactions that I've had here, that we are on a path to making good submissions. I think essentially there cannot be, as I mentioned earlier, innovation without, there cannot be innovation when there is no ecosystem to facilitate it. And so this year, what we are looking at or working on and improving in Africa is the ecosystem that facilitates, that enables innovative ideas to spring up, be they hubs, be they university laboratories, be they college ideas that we have in college, be they community groups or companies that have just like what Dr. Soglo has taken us through a while ago. So it is our hope that when we encourage ecosystems to also parade themselves and show us how well they are working to encourage innovation in Africa, that way, then the trickle-down effect will be evident because, as I say, there cannot be innovation unless there is an ecosystem that facilitates it, be it governmental, be it private sector, be it community-based, and such like. And so it is our hope that working with the partners that are here, working with you, the participants, and sharing ideas, we can be able to facilitate innovation in Africa in such a way that we will all be able to have innovative ideas spring up from our midst and mature into, bankable and services that can be offered to the public. So we look forward to your submissions. We are open. We are still available for questions directly. We are still available to be called to say, I don't seem to understand this. Could you kindly explain it to me? I think the key thing that take home, the key point to take home essentially is that it cannot be an individual. It has to be a system that encourages individuals to be innovative. So if there's an individual that has developed an innovative idea out of some ecosystem, then they can partner with that ecosystem. And what that individual has developed will be one of the things to exhibit and show as a product of that ecosystem. So we want to thank you for your participation. We look forward to partnering with you going forward in terms of these ideas. I think part of what we are also trying to work on with our partners is to ensure that we highlight and make public issues of intellectual property management in Africa. That has been an issue because, as you heard, judges would be looking forward to ideas that are original, so that they are not copied from other ideas. And so we need to ensure that even as we develop these ideas that are original, we protect them so that others are not able to use them without authority from ourselves. And that is something else that we do hope to roll out as a capacity building program in our countries, working with our partners so that we have this information go out to those that are involved in innovation. So from us at your secretariat, we thank you very much for your participation. We look forward to your submissions and going forward to partnering with you in some of these ideas and indeed with our partners so that we can develop these ideas into bankable projects, into commercial ideas that can be rolled out there so that the continent makes money out of them. So from us, thank you very much once again. Look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.